Buddy, and welcome and good morning, actually, to the final day of week 4 of Overwatch Contenders China. We've got some great series for you today, but first we'll be starting with Future Group versus 666 Legend. But before we dive in, let me tell you a little bit about Broadcast.gg before we get started. Broadcast.gg is an amazing community of broadcasters and talent all across all different disciplines to bring esports to you guys, like this awesome English broadcast of Contenders China. We've got Contenders South America there. We've got an amazing community for you there. So first, if you're just like hanging out, hit the follow button right up there. It's right up there now. Go hit that follow button. Make sure to follow us whenever we go live. And also follow us on Twitter at Broadcast.gg. You got to spell that out, though. Broadcast, DOTGG. Stay up to date with everything. We've got clips and highlights going all week long for you there. But if you're like, hey, I want to get involved, down below, Discord panel we've got down there. Join our Discord. Let's get you plugged in and connected. It's a good time. Again, that's Broadcast.gg. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this broadcast. All right. I'm joined on the desk today by none other than Kenobi and Scribe. Kenobi, we've done this before, but Scribe, we have not. So first, hey, I'm excited to be on the desk with you, man.
I know, dude. This is very exciting. I'm so happy to be casting some Contenders China.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting matches. I'd be lying to you if I would say that we're seeing all the best teams today, but we are seeing some really interesting matches with some pretty big playoff implications today. So I'm really excited for that. Kenobi, you're looking fresh as ever. I don't know how you do it. You're timeless. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. Doesn't matter how old you get. You just kind of keep on going. You're like the George Clooney of esports.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that mantra any day of the week. It's I'll put it on my Twitter now.
Later.
I'll PayPal you later. Put it on my Twitter. Put it in my bio. Link in bio. Kick Tripod called me the George Clooney of esports. So I'll definitely take that.
So let's dive in and talk about this match a little bit. So we're seeing 2 0-3 teams today with Future Group and 666 Legend. 1-23 map record between them. Definitely not where either of these teams want to be in Contenders China. But let's talk about these bright spots a little bit. Let's start with 666 Legend. Kenobi, what are some bright spots for the squad here?
So for 666 Legend, as you mentioned, they are, they're 0-3. They're a little bit struggling right now, but they still have a chance to, catch up to Flag Gaming, who they lost to last week, even though it was a really, it was a close-ish series between both of them. I think it was 3-1 at the end there, but, 666, what they have as bright spot is Liran City. Widowmaker is such an important, hero in this meta, right? We see her just played, basically almost all the time, especially in China. In China, they really do love their Widow Genji play, and Liran City on the, Widow a little bit had his good moments so far, on that last map against Flag, right? He played had some very good bright spots. On the Pharah, he was a little bit patchy, but he had some good moments there as well. So I definitely think Liran City, if he can rein it back a little bit and he can be a little bit more consistent with his DPS play, he's definitely someone to watch out for, and he's definitely a bright spot for 666 Gaming.
So what about on the other side with Future Group here, Scrab?
Yeah, so Future Group has been a little unlucky. Their record has been 0-12 for maps, but they have played the top 3 teams of the group, and I guess the 3 top records in all of Contenders China against LFZ, T1W, and Lingon. There's a lot of really strong parts of this Future Group team, more so their DPS duo. Vendetta and Venture look super good last week against T1W, but the person I want to highlight most is probably Babaji, who, even though obviously you got 4-0 last week, but Babaji seemed like such a strong Zenyatta. He offered a lot of really good mechanical aim, and I'm very excited to see what they're able to bring against this 666 team.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So there's a lot of things going on here. Each team fighting for the first win. One's going to leave with it, thankfully. So one of these teams will not leave Contenders completely defeated. But let's make some predictions. You know me. I love getting on the prediction game here. I love hearing what you guys think, making you stick your neck out a little bit so that I can go back and make fun of you later while I continue to not make any predictions. Scribe, who do you think's walking away with the win today?
Honestly, I gotta stick with Future Group. I think that the potential is there. I think they just had, a tough run of games so far, but Future Group 3-1.
Future Group 3-1 for Scribe. Kenobi, do you agree? What's your dissenting opinion, if not?
I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the 3-1 score, but I'm gonna take 666 Legend. Actually, let's add some parity to the desk just a little bit. I think Lee Run City kind of learned from last series that they had against Flag Game that maybe he needs to keep himself in check a little bit more. And I definitely think if he's going to be able to be that consistent DPS player, he's going to be able to beat the DPS of Future Group. So I think it's going to be 3-1 666 Gaming.
Fair enough. So Kenobi, I want to ask you for people who maybe we kind of know you said, hey, watch Lee Run City. We got some players to watch out for. What else should people be really cluing in to on this match today? What are some of the implications? What does this really mean in the grand scheme of Contenders?
Yeah, so, if the person who loses this is pretty much guaranteed to be out of playoffs completely. They don't have any chance, and it's going to be very difficult for them to even catch up to Flag Gaming, but this is definitely a must-win for both teams. And in regards to, what people should be looking out for with this matchup, it's going to be, a very brawly type of matchup. Both of these teams like to just get in there and just beat the hell out of each other. They just like to brawl on the point, and so they really need to look out for those 1v1 kind of scenarios, right? It is going to be a best of 5, but it's going to be based on a bunch of best of 1s, right? The Widow be the Widow, the Genji be Genji, and the tank lines fighting each other, the supports fighting each other. It's going to be very, very, mechanically based, not so much team play, I think is what we're going to be seeing. So definitely look out for, those mechanical skills to come shine through.
Scribe, someone had mentioned earlier in the week when we were kind of discussing this match a little bit, and they said that don't think of this as a best of 5, but a bunch of best of 1v1s. What does that mean in the context of a match like this?
Well, it means a few things. One, I think it means that especially when you have two teams who are kind of like very closely, I would say like we haven't really seen how well these two teams compare, but looking at their map records, they're basically relatively in the same pool. It just means that this is kind of a throw-up game, right? It's basically any match can be contested. Any map is definitely a possible win for either team, and teams need to be coming into this more so thinking about it in that way. How do we win this map, right? What are the big win conditions here? If you guys are playing on Assault, configure yourself for Assault. Be willing to run compositions that will help you win on that specific map type. And honestly, this is exactly one of the big rubber matches that is going to matter in this. Every map is going to matter. Every map is winnable, and I want to see both of these teams give it their all.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I want to go back for a second because I just realized we kind of skipped over. We've been doing Contenders now for 4 weeks in China or South America. We're like engrossed in this stuff. But for Scribe, for people who maybe don't know, what are some of like the regional, maybe like meta differences that we see from a region like China as compared to maybe like Contenders EU or NA?
Yeah, I think the big thing about China is just it's kind of like they love a certain pool of champions, but there's also very predictable stuff you won't typically be seeing. So even though we might see something as outrageous as quadruple DPS as we have seen with something like T1W, literally against I think Future Group last week, we're also not really likely to see things like Orisa because Chinese teams just don't feel super comfortable running her as consistently. Brigitte was also that big question mark until earlier yesterday actually when we saw a few more teams start to run her, but China is about aggressive play. They're going to do a lot of staging. We always talk about that, setting up before a fight and getting ready, prepared to engage. China does a lot of that. More importantly, these fights are ferocious. DPSers are willing to play super aggressive to get leads over their opponents. And yeah, that's kind of one of the big things about China that I like to see versus other regions.
And something else, China does is they really like their comfort picks, right? They kind of always just if they try something new that's like something we're more used to seeing, like quad tank, triple tank, goats compositions. If it doesn't work, they'll be like, all right, well, it didn't work. We're just gonna switch back over to what we like the most and what we're comfortable with, which is their Widow Genji, their dive compositions. They absolutely love dive. They're keen on running it on basically any map that allows you to do it. So very comfort based, and I think that's something that it's a little bit of a hindrance because if you're the enemy team and you can say, okay, well, if we beat them enough times in the 1v1 fight, they're just going to be able to switch back over to Genji and what they're comfortable with, and then we're prepared for them to do that. So I really like that this kind of chess game that's coming on between the team composition picks here.
Genji. I'm glad you brought up Genji because we see Genji a lot, probably more in this region than any other region that I've been able to watch. Kenobi, do you know maybe why we see so much Genji here? I know you touched on it kind of a little bit with the comfort.
Yeah.
Is it just kind of comfort pick plus aggression equals Genji in China?
Yeah, I think that's definitely, China has this, has this mantra in esports of being a very aggressive throughout all different esports played. And I think, Genji, it's just, you're right. It's a comfort pick and it really, adapts to their style of aggressiveness that they have. And, I think Scribe mentioned it as well. And I think, they just seem so comfortable on it. And it's also, Chinese teams don't really run Brigitte too much. And that's one of Genji's hard counters in this current meta. And Chinese teams maybe just aren't as comfortable on running Brigitte, don't know the hero as well as they know Genji inside and out. So I think that's definitely something else that, enables Genji to be played so much in this meta.
So we're about to jump into the first map. We're just waiting for confirmation on what that map is going to be, Scribe. But I want to ask you a little bit broader question. This is kind of, I didn't prepare you for this one, so be ready. It might be a curveball here. There's been recently some concern about the China region and as far as players rising up and performing well in, tier 1 Overwatch, like Overwatch League and stuff like that. Based on what you've seen from Contenders so far, are you seeing some of these Overwatch League caliber players coming out of this region, or is it something that you might think we might see some of these players once we get that signing window open and some of those expansion teams locked in?
Yeah, definitely. Despite I think what is the opposite of undefeated is it's unwinning record of Chinese teams in Overwatch League.
It's just a record.
The defeated record of
the
Chinese teams.
Perfect defeated record.
Exactly. But despite that, we are seeing a lot of individual mechanical talent. That's exactly what we're expecting from this region. This region is very mechanically gifted in the DPS role. Almost every DPS on every team, regardless of record, has the ability to pop off. There's a lot of Widow dependency as well, a lot of great aim on these teams. And more importantly, we are starting to see a rise of tank and off-tank players who are extremely strong in China. So this is kind of one of those regions where I think that the issues with this region are that because they play so much with themselves and not many of them have made it to as many international stages as regions like Korea or Europe or North America, they tend to be more reliant, and you see a lot of the similar issues that Chinese teams run into, right? Either the lack of discipline, lack of patience, but that's kind of what we have to work with. But once they are able to get those issues fixed up, and that does help by having a lot of Korean imports into Chinese Contenders as well, I expect to see them flow slowly into the Overwatch League pools.
So speaking of lack of patience, I know we are ready to go on our first match. We've got Lijiang Tower. There's so many follow-up questions I have for you based on your answer, Scribe, but we'll maybe have to get to those later. We're going to go to Lijiang Tower for map 1, and we've got your casters, Panda and Labasco, for you for match number 1. Go ahead, guys. Take it away. Oh, you're already in.
Thank you very much, Kick Tripod. Yep, jumping into the action already. Thanks to Kenobi and Scribe and KT for doing a great job on the desk as always. In Future Group, starting off here, getting control of the point here, at least early on. Panda forcing back the side of 666 Legend.
Getting the first point of control on control center of Lijiang Tower at that Labasco. And what we got to see right off the get-go is the proverbial 1v1s that the desk was talking about. In between Lead Run City and Vendetta specifically, these two hit scan players are going to be pushing each other to the greater brink of destruction. Besides that, look for Bao Bao Ji on the side of Future Group for these Orbs of Discord coming through and already pushing it to the next level.
Going on a little bit of a flank was Vendetta, and he takes out his counterpart there in the Pharah as they both eliminate each other. But Gaga at full charge right now, pushing forward with the Reinhardt in DXD. So they are sitting in a pretty good spot, already up to 33%.
Already hanging out, and that is a good place to be sitting. Rather pretty, not using any ultimates thus far, as the first one to roundabout for 666 will be the Transcendence and the Valkyrie as well. So the support ultimates going across the board, but it's the Graviton Surge coming out on the point already by Gaga.
And it's the 4 eliminations total out of it as well. There was a long flank happening here on top by Lear and Cut, but it doesn't really matter there as everybody else was dead. Or sorry, that was Lead Run City.
Yeah, Lead Run City's just kind of hanging out, waiting his nice in time, patience, Two strike, waiting for everybody just to hang out below because nobody can dive up there to get to him directly. But we still have a pair of supports, ultimates coming out from 666 Legend. You got to see how they're going to end up using it, because 75% will be rounding about from Future Group here on Control Center.
So Liran City gets caught from behind. Vendetta was going around and ends up finding him there. There is the Earth Shatter available here for XDXD, and he quickly goes down here. God coming in, trying to find somewhere to go with this barrage, just trying to take the fair coming around. And I think that was accidental from Night God. I don't think that was meant to be used there, Panda.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, it will not be in the pocket of 666 Legend. Should they flip this point over, they do have the man advantage, but they're not going to have the ultimates to sustain themselves coming into this next fight. We'll have an Earth Shatter for Future Group walking in, and Vendetta just getting all of the body shots. Will be rounding around for another Deadeye. He just needs to stay alive.
Liran City there with the elimination, giving them the advantage. Vendetta getting taken out from behind by Umbra. Umbra now looking for his counterpart in the Zarya. Venture right now going around, and now he switched quickly to a Reinhardt who ends up falling, and it ends up being Future Group taking that 1-0.
It was almost very, very necessary to hold on to at least one ultimate, whether it was a misclick onto the ultimate button or not having any ultimates. The moment that you have the first capture point in Control Center gives the re-entering team the open go-ahead to just pull all of their ultimates back out, win the team fight convincingly, and win the map just like Future Group does. As we're moving over to the Botanical Garden, some digital fishies down below of the point this time. Expect some good fair play coming out here. We will have two in the sky. In between, it's going to be for Venture, going to be trying to take the dogfight in the air to Night God.
And you have the Widow battle to pay attention to as well between Vendetta and Liran City, as well as the quick shot there from Vendetta doesn't quite get anything. Now going towards the White Room here. Night God putting a lot of pressure onto the Winston. Liran City, though, striking first, gets Venture out of the sky. So 666 Legend looking pretty good here at the start.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic entry pick right off the get-go. I mean, once you already bait out the Resurrection, next 30 seconds you can't get another one off, and that is exactly where it's going to stick. In fact, one headshot from Vendetta to clear it out, but the Resurrection's coming through, so we're back to 6v6, but no Resurrections across the board.
Yeah, Liran City getting taken out there. Vendetta able to get revenge, almost gets Liran City again, gets him down to about half health, takes out the Venom Mine as well afterwards, and now positioning back around here as it's still being controlled. 12% already for 666 Legend.
Yeah, 666 Legend, this is exactly where they want to be. Winning the first team fight convincingly and already way ahead as far as support ultimates are concerned. They will have Sober's Valkyrie ultimate as well as the Transcendence as well. As you can see, Bao Bao Ji, only 75% to the Transcendence, could be very devastating should Night God get this barrage in the next team fight and just walk in as Future Group. Vendetta already pulling out the wall hacks, trying to win the Widow 1v1, doesn't come up on it too soon.
Yeah, not doing too well even with the wall hacks on it, but he's still been putting pressure on players regardless, as jumping in here using the Primal Rage is the Winston here for 666 Legend. Trying to back out is the Winston in Hue Yi.
Yeah, Hue Yi just trying to get the heck out of dodge, but you can see Vendetta with a pair of kills of his own to counter over to Lumbra. They're just trying to fight over this point itself, and at the end of the day, they won't get the frags and picks needed. Still holding strong 666 Legend, and they barely even had to give anything besides the two support ultimates, but that's just fine. Future Group, they will have the Valkyrie for this re-entry as well, and a fair barrage from Venture. As soon as they get onto this point, they just need to get across this bridge.
It's a bit of a easy time right now for Liran City. Hasn't had too much pressure other than Vendetta being the one to really put some pressure on him. Vendetta looking for a target here, tries to get the Mercy, who's flying over towards where Liran City is. Liran City, though, managing to get one, waving high there after the shot was Vendetta. Umbra very close to getting down here, but does have the self-destruct. There is some ults on the side here for Future Group as well. We'll see when they decide to use them. Might not even have to. They're winning this fight pretty much outright without using their ultimates. They have a fourth one up as well, so they will have wall hacks from Vendetta to use at some point as well.
Future Group walked in, they popped one ultimate, and it was the Valkyrie coming out from GZ. That's almost exactly what you want, especially because Bao Bao Ji, who did get the final blow onto Liran City's Widowmaker, will be having this Transcendence. 5 ultimates coming across, popping the first one being the infrared sight, so that way they know exactly where everybody's coming from. It's going to help out Venture that much more to know where the enemy Widowmaker is and what walls to play behind. But it's Night God having the Fair Barrage, just playing around this point, looking for the entry kill into the Zenyatta. Won't find it though.
That's somebody else, though, that they have to make sure they keep an eye on. Self-destruct thrown here onto the point from Umbra. It's not going to get anything. It will force out Transcendence, though, from Bao at the very latest, as Venture's able to get two with his barrage, though. So a good ultimate there. So now Future Group out of ultimates, as just trying to get back with his team right now, using the Primal Rage to do so is Hue Yi.
Hue Yi using the Primal Rage is unfortunate, to say the least. So 50% will be rounding around, and Vendetta getting that fantastic headshot, pulling out the Resurrection from Sober, is going to enable the defending for this point that much further. No Resurrection for 30 seconds, no Angry Monkey to go ahead and create more space. As you can see, 666, they're still trying to find their way into this point.
Liran City has the wall hacks up here. Night God comes in, gets one, but then quickly gets taken out by Gaga's micro missile. Vendetta now in a battle with Liran City. Liran City getting that first shot on, able to get a Harmony Orb, though, to get back into this fight. As on the point for 666 Legend, it was the Transcendence coming out to try and keep everybody alive. But of course, they had Hue Yi already gone and out of the fight, so they have to regroup here once again.
Regroup one more time, go back to the proverbial drawing board in spawn with one ultimate rounding about. It's a self-destruct, though, coming out from Lumbra, so they're gonna have to use this very proactively if they want to make any headway, maybe even throw it into the point so that way they can make it there in time. 96% rounding about here, Labasco, as they finally get onto the point just in time to touch.
Gaga here trying to deal some damage out. Night God able to get Bao down early on in this fight. That might be enough to maybe switch this around, but continuing to push forward using the self-destruct is Gaga. Venture with the barrage on the point, clears everybody off. It's already into overtime here. We're so close to the win here. Venture, oh, he ended up taking himself out. This might be the chance for the flip to come back for 666 Legend.
And they can't even get back to the point. Labasco 100% coming over for 666 Legend. They will take Gardens, and we are going to our last stage here on Lijiang Tower. Last stage possible, in fact. It's going to be Night Market, and if we had seen anything coming out from these two maps in particular, it's fantastic Widow play. Expect to see much more of that coming out on Night Market, as this might as well be Widow's playground. These peaks are very fantastic for Liran City and Vendetta to take advantage of. They just need to be careful. Two in particular players, Venture specifically, still sticking around on this Pharah, but 666 Legend taking a turn for the meta, actually coming out here on a full GOATS composition. It's a 3-3 with Night God flexing over to the Roadhog and Liran City on the Brigitte. This is a fantastic flex coming out.
The one thing for Future Group, though, is Venture may be able to build up that barrage really fast. Is something we'll have to pay attention to, of course, Panda, because it's a lot of damage to deal out to a lot of tanks.
Yeah, oh man, it's in a lot of splash damage. You gotta land those direct rockets at that so that when you do build that ult charge, you can't be playing too close, however, because it will be a slap fest coming out from 666 Legend on to whatever they see in sight. They just want to run over anything they see, and a big hook comes through to start just that.
And Vendetta with the headshot, too, onto the Lucio makes this a great start for them. They already have the early pick that they can eventually go on. Vendetta gets pulled in, though, here, and then gets shield bashed by Liran City. So very good spot still here for the side of 666 Legend because they control the point, forcing everybody for Future Group to have to go on to them. And already up to a barrage, though, is the one thing for Venture. The only problem is the rest of this team is already fallen.
He put out the barrage there, Labasco, and that's going to be a huge misplay, unfortunately, for Future Group. They didn't even have the point, like you were saying, and they didn't have anything to show for it. Vendetta got that kill onto the enemy Lucio of 666 Legend, but still didn't gain any headway because a huge flank and a huge heads-up play for Liran City, playing Widowmaker himself, knowing exactly where to go to get that huge kill right off the bat. The ultimate economy and the advantage is heavily in the favor of 666 Legend here.
Yeah, I was saying that, of course, right as I was saying that he should hold on to it. Such a disastrous loss here, and Future Group now going to be in a tough spot as just pushing his way in on the right part was Hue Yi. So Hue Yi and Night God just continuing to push forward. They just keep pressing the W key here as they want to keep control here as they're up to 50% almost.
Speaking of that proverbial slap fest I was mentioning earlier, I mean, slapping down that W key when you get two good keep frags like that, when Vendetta dies on this Reaper, that is so much damage up out of the way. We know that Venture on this Pharah can land the rockets, but it's not enough damage to burst through the pure meat that is 666 Legend right now.
Self-destruct thrown up into the air to force Venture away. Couldn't get away. Neither could CCP. So that's two players already done. Night God pushing in another. with the whole hog. Well, Gaga actually jumping off. Regardless, though, another team wipe, 666 Legend after that slow start. They have been dominant here these last two maps, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And ZZV has been completely suppressed. No burst healing, or no big healing rather, coming out from Future Group's Mercy, and no opening for this Valkyrie to come through. Vendetta will be coming back on the Doomfist just to create more space, as another team fight is already ensued.
92% here, as coming out is the barrage, but it's right into a Diva, so that's completely useless there for Venture. Just gets rid of the Diva using the mobility right now, but getting hooked in was Venture, who was on the Doomfist, but it didn't matter. Transcendence here just to try and give the team a chance with the help too of the Pharah, and Venture doesn't end up working as he quickly gets batted away here. Venture does manage to get one at the very least, but they just have to take out this pharmacy combo, and they should have the win here using the rally as well as Liran City. Graviton Surge, though, maybe gives them a chance, but nope. Vendetta coming back in too late.
A little bit too late, not touching the point in time with the space jam ability. Meteor Strike can come down pretty quickly, but you got to make sure you use the right key bindings, Labasco. Unfortunate to say that they didn't get any percent there on Night Market. However, going forward, they still have something that they can take away from that, is that when you see 666 Legend coming out here on the core GOATS composition with Liran City on the Brigetta, it is devastating to deal with. You need to swap off almost. You would consider to take it yourself just to create more armor for your own tanks and create more space to take for your DPS.
So what is the swap for them there in that sort of situation if they see it again for Future Group?
I think that they would definitely need a lot more burst damage. Vendetta was headed in the right direction with the Reaper, but not necessarily the right choice. I would probably say more of a Junkrat. There was nothing that you needed to deal with, no anti-air that needed to come out for Future Group, but there was a lot of burst damage that needed to happen, a lot of shields to get through as well. Junkrat's your man.
Well, we'll see if that's what they end up doing, if they see that GOATS composition again. But until we find that out, we're going to take a timeout here, and when we come back, we'll have map number 2 for you. And we are back here on Overwatch Contenders China. I am Labasco. Alongside of me, I have Pokemon Panda. So we're getting ready for map number 2 between 666 Legend and Future Group. And after that first map, 1-0 666 Legend right now, Panda. They looked pretty good after map 1, but map 1, they did have some issues.
Map 1, they definitely had some issues, but I think the moment that you start engaging on these different core compositions in the current patch, especially when they came out with that full goats around Brigetta, that's definitely where 666 seems strongest. And this is something that I personally haven't seen out of the 666 gaming since week 1 of Chinese Contenders. So it's very fun for me to see the adaptations that they are taking and to force Future Group to play their game rather. And that's exactly what 3-3 does as well. You almost have to play it yourself, like I was mentioning on Night Market. You're almost forced to do it at that point because it's just so much healing and so much CC coming out from one team that you almost really want it almost on your side.
What is the one thing that happened for them, though, on map 2 for 666 Legend, Panda, that really kind of gave them the edge there? Because that was a very close map, and the comps were pretty similar between the two teams. I think they were actually mirror comps, if I'm not mistaken.
On Control Center, yes, it was actually mirror compositions coming out, but it was Vendetta that was coming up on those McCree 1v1s as well. When we were on the Gardens as well, we saw a big play coming out from Future Group altogether. I believe that it was their Pharah that was actually creating a lot of damage and getting a lot of good splash damage off, but they didn't have the follow through. They unfortunately couldn't make it across the bridge with their tanks to make it onto the point as 6. At a moment in time, you're almost stuck in that assault based map style where you need to get onto the point as 6 so that way you can combine the ultimates promptly and take it by storm.
Looking at what we will have here for map 2, we're going to get it right now, and our second map is King's Row. Where is the advantage here? I mean, I think 666 Legend has to be kind of happy with this pick, right? Because this means that they're going to a map where goats is a possibility that you can use at the start.
You can actually run the goats composition all the way until the very end if the enemy team doesn't even take a footing to stop you as well. I mean, it's so much health that you really have to come up on edge, really, for Vendetta. He has to land back-to-back headshots over and over and over again just to make a stapling in it or just to create headway into the GOAT's beef-y composition. But 666 and Future Group, neither of them have a win on a hybrid map so far. So again, going forward off the adaptations that 666 has taken into the core composition of GOATs, I'm expecting to see big things, and I want to see them push it all the way through on point C with it. However, with Future Group coming out, Vendetta made a very strong showcasing on the McCree and hit scans along with their projectile DPS, really strong Pharah play as well, that if the composition suits for them to make it stapling, I'm sure the damage will come through this time around.
Well, at the very least, the one thing that we know for sure is that the defending team first will be Future Group here. So we're going to get to see offensively what 666 Legend is going to decide to do. They're not really showing us anything here yet, Panda, because they were to come out with the Bastion, that would be a little bit of a surprise.
You know, I'd be all right with it, though. I'm always interested in some exciting things. That's one of the better parts about these Chinese Contenders teams. They always really kind of play these awkward compositions. But it's going to be a full dive style with a pharmacy in tow. You can see Lee Run City just kind of hanging out, waiting to see what Future Group has to offer. Getting a nice concussion mine. That's a good boop coming off, but you can displace the XD Orisa. So, four-legged horse still hanging out up top. Vendetta hanging out in the upper echelons of the apartment building. To the snipes for Lee Run City's head, if anything.
Yeah, and Vendetta went back, or sorry, not Vendetta, it was Lee Run City who looked like they were switching to Widow, switched to something else, then switched back to Widow. So now they're finally on Widow. So they have decided that Widow is going to be their pick of choice, but the Night God going into a trap of Venture and just flying away, ragdolling.
Yeah, and just go ahead and just tip all zoom straight to the moon. And at that point as well, I mean, Future Group maybe spending a little bit of a nice hangout behind the Orisa bunker shield while Lee Run City was trying to decide on what he wanted to play. 3 minutes and 40 seconds is the time marker to where you can actually find out what the enemy team is playing. And that is a fantastic shot. We can see why Lee Run City was taking such a long time. He wanted to make sure this is the pick. This is how we're going to get in here, folks. Good kill coming onto the Widowmaker, but no resurrection now coming out for Future Group in the next 30 seconds. Riptire already in play.
Looking for the hero Riptire here, though it at least gets the tank in Hue Yi at the very least. Gaga here now onto the Diva, does get her out of mech for Umbra, and Umbra quickly going down there by Vendetta. Vendetta has been finding his shots, has up the infrared sight too. Now looking for a Zenyatta as well. Night God having to retreat here back towards the team, and Vendetta eventually does get the Zen and Zihu Ya.
Very important for these Widowmakers to continuously come up on top, either in these 1v1s or just continuously find either exit kills or entry kills, depending on which side that you're playing on. It really sets up the Genji player very well. Night God and Venture as well. Just very, very strong Genji players, but they are only as strong as they're enabled and as long as the space is created. Here's Night God already going in with Dragon Blade and unsheathing. He's trying to, what a dodge!
He finally gets it onto Venture and then finds Vendetta as well. So both DPS quickly down here. Night God missing with a couple of those because of the great jukes from Vendetta, but eventually it doesn't matter. Now it's just the tanks left as they try to back out. The Zen here, Primal Rage by Hue Yi here to try and push them back towards the rest of the team, but he's going to make sure that he doesn't fall off as he completely goes back towards his team. Doesn't want to end up going down here as they're still trying to seal this fight, as there is a re-engage coming here from Future Group, but Hue Yi getting a little bit of help. They should have this after they take out the Winston, who's jumping in the air. Venture, though, has a blade, gonna hold on to it.
Already going down, main healer up and out of the way, no sustainability on the point as well, but we just got to take the time to mention that not only did Vendetta just completely take the head off the shoulders of Lee Run City, but he is truly a part of the Matrix. I mean, that dodging was just truly insanity.
His team does lose the point, though. They'll have to try and set up defensively here. Vendetta in a bad spot, got caught out trying to flank by the Zenyatta in Ziyo Hua, so not exactly the best positioning there, was trying to be sneaky.
Trying to get a little sneaky footing around here, but what we can see going across the screen here, Labasco, 666, they just want to continue to push forward, holding down that W key, as we like to call it, getting that forward shielding and the pressure on, so that way they might able to bait a few ultimates from Future Group out, though they only have one. It's going to be the Blade. The infrared sight should be coming through to make that Blade a little bit more, I guess, exciting for the Genji to find his picks in need be, but it's going to be met by the Transcendence of 666 Legend, who just pulled out the Valkyrie onto this payload.
Yeah, both teams switching to the Rhine. Zarya comes now. They do have the same DPS at the very least. Dragon Blade coming out here. Night God quickly takes the Mercy out of this guy, looking for another one. Not going to get anybody, but just the Mercy is enough here as the rest of the team does the job they need to finally push this card towards this first point.
That is exactly why you take that frontal spacing past the bookstore as well. You can see the payload just ever so gingerly capping on point B for King's Row, and 666 Legend having 3 minutes and 30 seconds now to push point C. Vendetta again with another kill as soon as the point capture's over. They really got to stop this man now. I mean, that's one way of doing it.
Still Run City there. Venture, though, coming in with the Dragon Blade, manages to get Umbrum. Babao G's able to get Steel Run City, so they will force back the offense here at the very least towards spawn. So Future Group finally starting to stabilize, using an ultimate. They still have a Transcendence, too, as well, but there is a Shatter on the other side.
It's going to be the biggest ultimate that they need ever coming out from their main tank of QE. Go ahead and take that death stare. Reinhardt v. Reinhardt is a very scary situation to be in, especially when they both have their Earth Shatters available. Misses the pin, but Vendetta does not miss the shots.
Yeah, hits 2. I think 3 now as well for Vendetta. We switch over to Vendetta now and see, just looking for that last straggler and gets it. What we've seen here from Vendetta, incredible. Completely just decimating 666 Legend and stopping their push once again as they now hit 230.
Yes, you are more than okay to take that wave there for Vendetta. Popping the infrared sight. Solid 35% above his adversary of Lee Run City. 666 Legend just going ahead and finding an opening, but they're not having an easy time doing their Venture pulling out the blade here, Labasco.
just going after the Reinhardt, couldn't get the Mercy or the other targets he was looking for, so it ends up being a wasted blade. In the meantime, Vendetta and Venture, they do the work that they need to keep their team ahead as far as the elimination, so they've turned it into a 6v4, back to 6v5 with Steel Run City at least getting back up. Night God here just kind of hanging around, has the Dragon Blade, now decides to unsheath it here, quickly gets onto the black line, takes out the Mercy, but Venture right there to meet him and takes him out.
And that is one of the most important things you need to do there, especially when the Genji's already low. Yes, he did get the kill onto the Mercy, but without the Transcendence, there's only one thing you can do, and that's just kill the Genji as he's amidst the blade. Vendetta is just coming to life. He's going insane. Venture with a deflect kill onto the head of Lee Run City. Mince all of that craziness. Now Future Group really making a stable on point C on how to hold it. Going ahead and having one more headshot will give him the infrared sight as well. Gaga's gonna go ahead and have a Graviton Surge. No big ultimate to combo along with it, but Venture, 7% shy of this Dragon Blade, needs to come up huge with it once more.
Well, that's a good thing for Venture. Even though he didn't get a lot out of his last Dragon Blade, he's about to have it again. Uses it here, but Transcendence comes out. He's gets Steel Run City though down beforehand, and Trans can even get there. Now the Graviton Surge counter comes, gets 2 here, so this might be the chance for 666 Legend to start pushing forward once again. Gaga quickly hit here too, as they will be able to come around this final corner. Just Venture left to go. He's on the little health pack. He's gonna fall though here in just a moment. If the Zarya can get him, he's just trying to get away as much as he can, and he might be able to get back to his team. The Mercy's able to get him. They weren't able to finish him off, so he's back in the fight.
That is huge, and Bao coming back out on Lucio, so the speed boost is going to be able to help out XD get back onto the point, and Venture to get that sustainability in the backline as well. But it's really a play of these 1v1s, Genji v Genji, Widow v Widow, and the Genji on the side of 666 Legend. Night God, here comes another blade.
He's able to get one. Steel Run City helping him out to find another one, just swinging away at the Reinhardt, gets him low, and then uses the Shuriken to finish it off. Have the Diva there as well, who just comes in to stall on the side of Future Group. But a high charge Zarya and Umbra has been doing so much damage here throughout this entire final engagement that it might not matter. They're still getting these last few. They are so close. They pick out the Winston. Graviton Surge onto the cart. Doesn't matter. Night God and Steel Run City combining for those last few eliminations, and they finally get it here as time was running out.
Yeah, just go ahead and drop a Galaxy on the capturing point. I mean, by that point, you don't need to travel with the Galaxy. Just go ahead and just show what you got there, my friend. But no seconds left here in the overtime. It's very unfortunate to say that if Future Group is capable of pushing it all 3 points with a time bank, they will have the opportunity for one last push and to take the win. It's a huge win condition and a huge if at that, as they were really having a hard time on this point A and the point B, Labasco. The streets not so favorable for Future Group, but Vendetta on point C, it seems to be. And when he has the high ground and the enemy team is unable to get to him directly, he's really coming to life. Whether that's by way of XD or Venture, really getting those dives and coordination coming through, or just keeping the Harmony Orb on him from Bao, we don't know for certain. But what we do know is that those headshots were ridiculous, and he was really doing well around point C for a good while.
The other thing we know, though, too, Panda, is that this is a map where holds are possible pretty much in every portion of the map. You can full hold at first point, you can full hold after they take first point at that choke, you can full hold right before the first point that you take with the cart, or you can full hold pretty easily as well on the final push if you're the defensive team. So there's opportunities for 666 Legend to have this go the way that they want, because we know that there's certain points where there is still strength for the defense. It's not always in favor of the offense.
Well, we definitely know that 666 Legend will be looking for this very Covenant full hold here on point A, Kings Row. It's not something that you see every single day, but it's something that can definitely happen, especially if the attacking team doesn't gain any headway as far as ult economy is concerned, or they don't even are able to get onto the point. Looking at you, Lee Run City and Night God, coming out here for the double sniper defense. High pick first potential here, but if Bao lands a good Discord or target and they get a good dive coming in here on said target, it could be devastating for the defending team to hold on.
Well, they see that there's the Ryan Zarya combo on the point with that double sniper comp, so now they're going to have to decide how they want to dive into it. Looks like they're putting pressure onto the tanks, but Night God beating Vendetta here at the start. It's going to make things super difficult as his team has to dive towards the back to just make sure that their back line doesn't get decimated, which they do not because of great work from Night God and the rest of the team. Now Night God just trying to put a little bit of pressure on the Mercy there as having to regroup his future group.
And this is exactly what I was talking about as well. Venture will be 40% nearing to that to the Dragon Blade, and that's going to be the only ultimate that is going to be coming out here in the next 30 seconds or so. A minute's already gone from the attacking team. It's going to be huge here as they get the Reinhardt right off the get-go. But take a look at the Liron City is just running amok.
Liron City doing the work in behind, but quickly gets taken out. Now the Dragon Blade comes out from Venture. The headshot from Night God, and now the Dragon Strike afterwards. The defense will hold once again here. Just have to take care of a baby diva. And they're going to let it just stall out.
Gonna go ahead and have to proc off that Pilot Diva passive of getting staggered off there in the end, but Venture using the deflect to get the kill onto Liron City. Didn't have it amidst the Dragon Blade for Night God's arrow that just found his dome, ripping the Cybernetic Ninja's head off of his shoulders. Now Future Group is going to have this Transcend, or the Valkyrie coming out here for ZZV, and it's going to have to be a very big dive coming in here, and a big bursty one at that, because Vendetta is not having an easy time here against the double sniper, a 666 Legend, as an infrared sight from Liron City comes out here already for the defense.
And Umbra very close to having, by the way, the Graviton Surge has been at almost full charge the entire time. That's something else that's going to hurt them as well. Umbra here just about to get it up, fully 100% charge as well. See when the Graviton comes out. So low is Umbra able to get into the trance though, and Liron City gets Vendetta in the meantime. Only one tick being able to take in here for the side of Future Group, and just Umbra pushing the W key, because when you're high charge Zarya, you're pretty much invincible as long as you have health. Vendetta, the only one left, use the infrared here, but it's not going to matter.
Yihua with that timely transcendence, it was huge. Exactly needed. Future Group doesn't have a Graviton Surge nor high bursting ultimate coming out here anytime soon, and they don't really need it for the Dragon Blade as they killed Venture off time and time again, who's going to have another one here soon, but no other ultimates outside the Transcendence and the Dragon Blade for Future Group, as they only get one tick, and they're starting to sustain themselves on the point with Gaga taking one of the two snipers out of the play.
And Ziho Ya fell really early on in this play. Graviton got eaten by Umbra, I think, as well, who had gotten it up and hadn't used it yet, and now Venture's going to use the Dragon Blade, knowing that fact, Dragon Strike coming through, but there's nobody on the point. They're going to be able to finally get this. It looks like, going right into a shot from Night God was Venture. He's going to try and re-engage. He takes out Vendetta too, but they did get the point, though, is the one thing here for Future Group, so that's going to force this to continue.
That is just quite unfortunate. You hate to see that kind of thing happen there. Night God getting two huge kills back to back, but unable to get a body on the point. 666 Legend gonna have to go ahead and let that point go, but they're gonna hold behind Huey's shield here as soon as it gets around the bookstore. Right on your screen, you see Night God behind the shield, that much more of a back pressure, so that way he can get those shots cleanly. The infrared sight for Liron City is going to enable him that much further.
The one thing that helps them here is that Night God got those picks that he did, but the dive works here. Gaga taking out Night God, and now it's still Liron City getting taken out. XD looking for the couple more with that Primal Rage, finding this high charge Zarya and Umbra. Umbra just seems to be at high charge all the time, even though it gets taken out there. This is a card that they have to move quick through the streets phase.
Absolutely, yeah. Umbra is using those team bubbles very effectively, always putting them on the immediate targets of Venture, or while Venture is going in on them as well, whether that be the Zenyatta or Liron City's Widowmaker as well. It's still a lot of charge coming through regardless of it. Darn near 80, in fact, or darn near the entire charge of 40, especially if you try to slash through it. Dragon's coming through here for the side of the attacking team. It's not going to find anything, as this Future Group with the re-engage are going to be able to get a few themselves and capture the point.
Night God, Night God was in a bad position. Does at least take out the tank and XD, but doesn't really matter after that. Venture with the Dragon Blade here. Future Group sitting in a great spot as far as ultimates are concerned, Panda.
Yeah, exactly right at that. You're going to have Venture, another Dragon Blade. Going to be able to fly way of the Transcendence as well if anything huge comes through, but not anytime soon. 666 Legend, Night God, switching over to Genji just now. Nothing to stop this coming through. Venture, huge with the Dragon Blade, as he doesn't even nail it to the face this time round.
finds himself too, looking to get onto the Mercy here afterwards, but instead will switch to the Diva, force them back into spawn at the very least. Umbra almost lost the mech there, but they're going to have to try and re-engage here quickly. Oh, nice shot from the Liron City, but it doesn't matter. Nobody could get onto the cards. Future Group's going to finish this with time on the clock. They're going to have a chance to win, Panda.
Yeah, exactly the win condition that I said. It was a bigger if in my mind, but when you have 2 minutes and 23 seconds after capturing all 3 points, that is a very diminished if at that, my friend. Venture and Vendetta were coming up huge, but it's no way of shaking your hand against Gaga and XD. They were time and time again finding these core dives onto the back line of 666 Legend, just flattening their supports more often than not. With the Winston, Future Group kind of might as well stick to their guns here, but Spencer is hovering over the Hanzo. I would like to see a double sniper, but take a look at 666 Legend. They ain't afraid. They know what exactly happened on the previous map of Bosco, what gave them the win, and this might end up being devastating for 666 Legend, or it could come back to bite them in the rear. Once they're on the high ground, once the Widowmaker or another sniper from Future Group is hanging out on a pedestal of sorts, it only comes down to Umbra on the Diva to displace them, to almost 1v1 them at that point as well if they don't get the burst healing from the Moira. Defensive Goats is hard, let's put it that way.
It is very difficult, but it is something that can work. And Future Group, as far as their comp is concerned, it's going to have a little bit of a tough time with Goats, isn't it?
I would definitely say so. I mean, it favors the attacking team, who does have 2 minutes and 23 seconds. They can actually wait this 20-second time to see what they're running all entirely. They're not
and they
going
found
to.
it out right away.
Oh, the Sonic arrow is so clean. They're going to be able to see all of them in the hotel coming over here immediately, and then find the break.
The breakdown quickly here by Venture. Now he's on looking for the another elimination, and he just found another one. His team finds everybody else. They're going to win this one. Future Group's finally going to get their first map win.
And they look so good in doing it, Labasco. They were time and time again, these snipers and projectile DPS for Future Group coming up so huge for this fight and teams. And time again, that Sonic arrow is just so clean to set them up so well and take their first win in Chinese Contenders.
They're definitely going to feel good about that, but I'm sure that the panel that we have assembled for you today in Scribe and Kenobi, and of course, the gracious host that is Kick Tripod, they have even more that they're going to be able to tell you here. So we're going to throw it back to the guys here and let them break all of this first half down.
And there is a lot to break down. Thanks, Labasco. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I've got a lot of feelings and emotions
I do too.
churning about here, but Kenobi, I want to hear, like, what are you feeling right now? Like, before we get into the analysis, what are you
I don't know. I'm
feeling?
having an out of body experience, I think, because I mean, it's just non-stop action coming out from both these teams. Ultimate's just coming out left and right. Huge plays coming out from everyone, and just it's just so. There's so much to break down, as you mentioned. We have a lot of talking points for this halftime, KT.
Scribe, thoughts, feelings on that first half? You doing in there? You hanging in a little bit better than Kenobi?
I love this. This is what I live and die by.
It's so great.
There's like it seems like everyone has something to show, and it's just like it's so ridiculous watching this right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's jump over to Lijiang Tower first, and I don't have the right adjective to describe this map, so I'm just gonna say that this one was interesting. We saw kind of Vendetta and Liron City going off in their own little head-to-head battles most of the time. It seems like teams really had a strategy of, get a tank and support pick and then move in, and then a tank and support never really died. So then you're like, well, let's just do a little standoff here. Kenobi, break down Lijiang Tower for us. What was really going on this map?
So we mentioned it, at the start of this on the pregame desk, where we talked about, this is going to be a lot of 1v1 matchups, right? And it's going to be a lot of, Widow v Widow, Genji v Genji, stuff like that. Tank line versus tank line, support, and so on. And it kind of went back and forth on the first two maps. So on Gardens, it felt like it was more in the favor of, it was more like a Widow battle kind of a place where it was like Widow just on that map has so much value. And I think it was Vendetta who came out on top on that one, I believe. And then it went over to Control Center, and Control Center was just another story. But going to the last map, when we saw them bring out the Goats, I think it was 666, bring out Goats. And we saw Liron City play that Hog. And Goats is the kind of composition where you do have that huge pick potential, right? Because we saw Liran City on Farah not playing it very well, but then when he switched to Roadhog, his Roadhog was so good. I mean, he was hitting hook after hook, left after right, and getting so many picks. And, it seemed like Future Group didn't really know what to do. He got in their head so much that, they're like, Reaper's really good against Roadhog. Let's pick that. But then there's Brigitte there to just shield bash you. And then they kept trying to switch. So they really got into the heads. And I really like what I saw coming out from 666 there on, Lijiang specifically.
I believe it was Liran City went to the Brigitte and Night God was on the Roadhog.
Was Night God on there? Yeah. Maybe.
On Night Market, right? That's what we're talking about. Just, yeah. That's one of the few things I ever get right, by the way. It's so good.
You're better at names than I am.
Yeah. Let's talk about this duel, though, because there seems to be two people who are really going head-to-head here, and that's Liran City and Vendetta Scrab. Who's winning that duel right now?
It is so even sometimes because I think to be fair, I think it's majority even. Leon Tower especially was very even first map. Vendetta just seemed to have all the aggressive peaks and he was getting all the angles and all the quick picks to really set his team up ahead. But Liran City though has really come back a lot more.
Yeah.
It seems like he's feeling more comfortable and his team's honestly playing around him a lot more and activating him. This is kind of one thing we both noticed was that Vendetta is simply his team almost feels like they're just waiting for him. And while that is like, a good perspective, that is a way to how to play the game where you kind of just wait for your Widow to get picks. It's not really that successful because if your Widow starts struggling, your tank lines need to be more proactive. They need to start activating your DPS. Those need to start moving forward and claiming that ground. And that's something I saw more from 666 Legend. They made a lot more adjustments. They were the kind of team who was more willing to try to, advance out dive, try to create more room. And I think that's what's really causing this kind of sway into giving Liran City the victory.
So if Vendetta wants to kind of step up and start winning that duel, what do you think he needs to do here?
So I don't necessarily think it's a lot of what he can do, and this is something I think that we could actually came up a little bit on King's Row. It's more about his team really building around him and activating him a lot more. And a lot of that activation, it seems, comes from Venture. Venture himself, who was on the fair, didn't really seem very agile, didn't really seem like he knew how to really deal with a triple tank competition because he's the type of Pharah who typically strives more in duels. So Venture needs to be activated. We saw how good he is on Genji and how well he can open up the field, and he really needs to be popping off for Vendetta to start looking better.
Yeah, and we saw them, pour so many resources into Venture. There were times where, it was basically when it was the Rhine, when they were going, this Genji composition into the Rhine Zarya, they basically said, all right, you know what, Venture, here's Harmony Orb, here's a Mercy Beam. Just go in, dash in, just do as much damage as possible and just make them uncomfortable. And then you're going to be fine. We're going to be able to save you because there's no CC on the other side and they're not focusing you as well. So Venture there doing a great job of making sure that, understanding that I'm going to be pocketed by both of my supports. I can go and I can do a lot of damage. And that's, leaving room, as Scribe said, for the other DPS to pop off a little bit more.
Kenobi, I want to talk to you about Night God a little bit because we've again, feelings with lack of adjectives when it comes to kind of what we've been seeing from Night God. We saw some interesting Genji blade choices and trap eating strategies. I want to know what's going on with Night God here. What are you seeing from him in this first half?
It's so weird. It's because last week when I had watched 666, it was kind of like Liran City, who is this kind of DPS player that was going haywire and just doing things, solo barrages and just playing very, very aggressive. This time it's Night God, and unfortunately Night God is it's being the definition of insanity a little bit, right? How many times do I have to dash into a Hanzo who's out of range and get headshot, or how many times do I have to dash onto the high ground and get Junkrat trapped? They need to really just reel him in, because if he's able to be reeled in, that's going to be and play a little bit safer. That's going to enable Liran City, and Liran City so far has been that kind of carry potential player and is able to pick up the slack a little bit for Night God. But if 666 wants to win this, they're definitely going to have to make sure that Night God's playing a little bit more safe and a little bit more consistently than he is currently.
So you might have just answered it. I'm going to come back to you in a second, but Scrab, I want to ask you, who needs to step up on either team if they want to walk away with the victory here? Because right now it's pretty dead even, it feels like.
Yeah, It is tough to say, right? Because obviously you can kind of point to Future Group's tank line. This is kind of like one thing they need to step up. XD has kind of been almost overwhelmed. This is what's really giving them the advantage. Chinese Contenders has kind of felt more of like this. These teams like using ultimates off cooldown because for them it's the most efficient way to do it. We've seen these Genjis kind of pull out Blade in almost any situation, and the funny part is like 50% of the time they get nothing, but 50% of the time we see them get triple kills and double kills, almost seeming like it's almost impossible considering we just saw you dash like into a Hanzo, right? But that's what they need to do. Their tank lines need to play more aggressive because when Future Group is playing more passively, that allows the other tanks to start getting more and more value off of their big control ultimates, right? Earth Shatter and Graviton Surge reward strong aggressive play because it causes them, it really CCs the enemy team such that you can get these big picks, you can get these team fight winning duels, right? And I want to see the tank line step up more. I want to see XC create more room for the rest of the team, and I more so want to see them work in tandem with the DPS players.
All right, I have to ask you guys, before we go into map 3 here, you made predictions at the beginning, I believe 3-1 Future Group for you, Scribe, and 3-1 666 Legend for you, Kenobi. Are either of you wanting to change your predictions right now? I'll give you half the prize money.
Based on what I've seen, I don't want to change. I think it's going to be the same because I've seen nothing. It's so even that I can't even make a change to, I can't even say that there's going to be a change.
Scribe really quick.
The future is now 3-1 Future Group, baby.
3-1 Future Group.
Still
there you go. Well,
Legend.
we got to go into Temple of Anubis. We're going to go back to your casters, Panda and Labasco. Go ahead, guys. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Kick Tripod, and we are glad to have you back with us as we get ready here for map number 3 between 666 Legend and Future Group. Panda, we are getting a much closer view of Widowmaker than maybe we would like there.
I almost actually fell out of my chair there. I was not ready to see Widowmaker that up close and personal, and that comes from a support main as well. I try to stick as far away from that hero as possible. But yeah, I mean this is quite the entertaining show that we have here today for you all. I mean, literally, I'm gonna go ahead and side with Scribe here as well. I mean, the future might as well be now. With 666 Legend, they want to make a staple in here in the sand of Anubis, walking out on their attack, coming all the way out on the left-hand side, so that way no Widowmaker can see that they're coming out here with a Doomfist comp, looking to punch everybody in the face, but you won't be able to get over there anytime soon. You gotta wait for that rock punch to come back up.
Yeah, Night God and Steel Run City, or Lee Run City, I should say. I keep wanting to say Steel because I see the S. It's Lee Run City. He's the one who's on this Doomfist series, kind of just waiting here. They're going to know eventually that he's here. Now he decides to finally come in, gets all the way in onto where they are on that high ground. Now punches his way through Bao G, so he's being effective here early on. Umbra and the rest of his team on the point as well. Now just have to take care of this Diva in Gaga, who's quickly going to get thrown out of mech, and they will get control here, and now they'll just slowly take out this baby Diva when they feel like it.
The halt coming through from XD, especially as soon as Lee Run City came in on the Doomfist. A lot of burst damage coming through, but no forward momentum, so that way there was no stagnant pressure coming through as well. Future Group just gonna have to go in and give it up. Lee Run City already with the swap over to the Widowmaker. It's a very interesting pick, 4-point B, but it can pay its dividends back into the spawn room just to swap. Let's see what's coming out to be. It's going to be a Brigitte for the side of 666 Legend. They want to play this 1-2-3 composition with a Mercy Valkyrie walking into the second point. Expect Huey to have this Primal Rage any minute now. And Night God Reaper not exactly needing the Cone Ultimate of the Death Blossom to make a strong footing on this point B attack, but can still get it in a matter of seconds. Vendetta getting the punch to start the team fight.
Yeah, switch to Doomfist there while you were talking was something I was waiting to point out. And now Venture gets the Dragon Blade out, quickly takes out the baby Diva, who throws out the self-destruct. Now looking to get onto the back line, finds himself another one with the help of the rest of his team. Venture having to go away here, at least for the moment. His team still trying to keep control. Vendetta finds himself another one with that Doomfist punch, as his team's going to be coming through spawn here. But you still have to deal with Night God finally taken down here, and the defense will eventually stabilize, though it was a tough fought battle for them. 666 Legend did get a lot of limbs in that time.
He got a lot of the limbs, definitely. 666 Six Legend burn through a lot of ultimates, unfortunately, but they will have this Death Blossom coming through. It's quite okay that Sober used the Valkyrie and Huey using the Primal Rage in that previous team fight. No ticks to show for it, but a good core swap coming over. Still sticking to the 1-2-3 style. Almost a tip your hat to Goats plus Reaper.
Well, Vendetta, in the meantime, is going to use his break. Ends up just going back to where his team is. He was half health. Didn't have the chance to get on anybody. Looked to maybe use the right click there. Doesn't get it out. Night God looking for somebody. Has the Death Blossom available here. Punch goes in onto the Reinhardt. Pushes him out of position. Night God falling. Didn't get the chance to use the Death Blossom. Or no, he did use it, but nothing came of it is what it was. It was just eaten up by that Transcendence. And they quickly eliminate here. And Vendetta on this Doomfist is paying off.
And Doomfist is paying off evidently when you stun anything such as a Reaper going in for a Death Blossom. It completely gets... it actually gets suppressed all the heck. I actually have no other analogy for that. I have no jokes. But, you know, at the end of the day, what you see for Future Group, instead of opting in for a Forget the Style, they actually opting for Vendetta's Doomfist. I like Gaga staying on this Diva, that if any high ground nuttiness comes through from 666 Legend, they're ready to deal with it. When that Death Blossom or big shit or big damage comes through, they're ready to eat it.
Huey was able to get the Doomfist with the charge there, but quickly res ZZV, able to get that off, and that's the charge, able to get the Lucio here, so they're going to force their way onto the rest of the team. Steel Run City just dealing out as much damage as possible, and Lee Run City trying to keep this for his team, able to take out two, and two of the players, but they need to back off. They know they don't have the numbers with the respawns coming back.
One of the more trickier parts about Assault here, Labasco, is that you do need literally all 6 members of 666 Legend on the point to make any sort of headway into the control meter for point B. 3 minutes and 40 seconds now and ticking down for 666 Legend's attack. They're going to have the Graviton Surge coming in here as well. Probably looking to just get a lot of cleave damage from Huey and Night God with those Hellfire shotguns. Expect big things to come out of him too.
Well, they use the Graviton Surge now, catches a bunch into it as well. They didn't have the defensive ult do enough from Bao G, so now it's going to be chasing down these eliminations here, and they should have control of the point, and they'll start building up on this meter as trying to charge in was XD there was it was falling. Doesn't end up working. Now the Diva comes out here from Gaga, quickly forced off. Not even going to get a chance here, but a team coming from the other side to get back onto the point. It's the Mage, just stall tactics here now for the side of Future Group. Vendetta still looking for some eliminations, going back towards spawn. Chris was really close to falling here. Still have some players stalling on the point as well. Out comes the Valkyrie here as well to keep everybody alive, but Lee Run City being allowed to run rampant, just swinging the mace around and nobody being able to stop it here, and Night God continuing to just put damage out onto these tanks.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts about having Night God here on Reaper, that the second you come out here with any stall champions, they're going to be so softened up by the Hellfire shotguns that it's easy cleanup for Huey. Having the Death Blossom here inching back onto the point, but as the last 8% will be accrued, it's going to be 2 minutes and 18 seconds going over for their side, and they will capture both the points. That is a very strong attack coming through, and they really wanted to make that Reaper work, and by God did they. That Graviton Surge Labasco cut the Transcendence directly in half on that top pillar that you see in front of you here, and that is just so devastating to work around, especially when your Diva's up on the other side, 2 seconds inside the defense matrix these days, not enough to deal with both shotguns and all the shots that come out of Reaper right underneath them as well. Big damage coming through, broken LOS from Transcendence. That point did go very quickly for their side.
The one thing, too, I think you give a lot of credit to the side of Future Group as far as their ability to stall that out on the second point for a losing battle. I mean, they were getting... They didn't get too many picks, but they at least continued to get bodies out onto the point and staggered themselves enough where I think they got maybe another 30 seconds out of that at the very least, maybe even more than that on that final stall.
Absolutely. Vendetta with the first swap coming out here on to the Mage, just holding strong. That's another solid 10 to 20 seconds unless you can deal with those cooldowns effectively in between the wall and the ice block, respectively. But it definitely bought them a lot of time. You're definitely right to say so. Now, Future Group, however, it's a very die-oriented team. You can tell this so far in this series versus 666 Legend that really seem to enjoy their Reinhardt slow death ball movement play, which is very interesting to see how the two different styles play out between them on Assault. 666 Legend, however, we know and we have seen, especially in that finer moment, that when they have their composition picked, they're going to make it work regardless of it. They're going to make you feel a little uncomfortable. They're going to displace you, and they're going to go ahead and just stick whatever they have into your face. But it's going to be 666 Legend on this defense. Liron City making another showcasing onto this Widowmaker, but Night God with the Junkrat, just in case Future Group comes out with any sort of 4 giant tank combinations, or just to put a trap there and to stop Venture in his trap.
Venture did not see that trap at all, quickly got eliminated. By the way, we have more Doomfist that we get to show you too. Vendetta is on the hero right now as well. And now the dive coming in, but it's failing here at the very start. So now they'll have to try and reset. Holding in a different spot too is 666 Legend. They have their Orisa on the low ground, not on that way high ground up above where that you have to use the Mei to get up there. So a little bit of a different place that they're holding compared to where Future Group held.
It's so smart, especially you see this trap right behind the shield as well. Future Group still sticking on this core dive composition for whatever odd reason as they're walking into a hybrid anti-dive between 666, specifically between Night God's Junkrat and Huey's Orisa. I really like to see this on Anubis because it really stops anybody trying to dive you on this high ground. And for whatever odd reason, XD and Venture, they still try to go in and they get bursted down by Huey of all things. That fusion cannon does do a lot of damage if unchecked.
Huey being able to burst him down very quickly, like you said. Now they have to make the decision here of what they want to do, and it looks like the decision is to put Venture, keep him on the Genji, and then Vendetta move over to the Widowmaker here. So they have a very similar comp to what we saw on the offense before. Night God quickly taken out here by the tire, or taking out with the tire ZZV. So the Mercy already down in this fight, have to reset once again is Future Group.
And they're already having a few members just stuck on that high ground side, so one is going to have to pay way for the other, as the Demon's just going to come over here. It's going to be met by a Winston and a Genji, and that's going to be working for the D-Mech, but Umbra's okay with that, having a self-destruct that if he loses it, going on and pull out another one. But 666 Legend with the infrared sight now available, looking to play their game slowly, methodically. That Riptire was so good because it forces ZVZVs to use the Valkyrie upon entry.
Getting that headshot too was Liron City. Venture tried to do something with that blade, but got absolutely nothing out of it. And now Umbra going on to Vendetta here, at least pushing him away. Or sorry, that's Venture. Vendetta's on the Widowmaker here and wasn't able to get any headshots. So it's just a tough position right now for Future Group. They only have 1:30 left to go here to try and get this. They do have some ults starting to come up though here soon, Panda.
Oh, Vendetta swapped over to Widowmaker, 30% shy to the infrared sight. Obviously not a damage dealing ultimate, but information is gold. They're still sticking on this poor dive composition. Vendetta swapping back over to the Doomfist. It's quite a bit of thonker for me because they're still getting hard stuck by Huey and this anti-dive composition, pulling out the supercharger of all things, really pushes through, and that's a great headshot on the ZZV. No Bane healer here for Future Group.
Liron City continuing to make his presence known. Vendetta finally eliminates him. Now trying to get onto the Junkrat here. Has to get the health pack first is the only thing. Umbra fighting with Gaga on the point. Ends up getting him out of mech. Vendetta coming back in here using that Doomfist punch. Misses here. And the defense looks like they might be able to hold up again. Umbra getting the Mercy before the res could come out. And the defense looks like they might stabilize again with only 33 seconds left for Future Group.
ZZV just used the Resurrection, and that's a 30-second cooldown. They're not going to have that until there's 5 seconds left on the bank for Future Group on this next attack. Gaga will be working towards, will finally get another mech, but it's Venture with the Dragon Blade. Taking quite some time to go ahead and get that one as well, as it's Night God pulling out this Riptire, being cheeky, just trying to find any kill, but it's going to get snuffed out by Vendetta. Good shot.
Vendetta getting that, and Venture already got an elimination here. Now has a chance here with the Dragon Blade to turn this fight around for his team. Hasn't found anybody yet. Now finally gets one in the Junkrat, and this should be the final win here on this point to at least force themselves to have a chance to get this one here. If they can quickly dive onto that second point, they might even have more time than 666 Legend if they snowball.
They might be able to do just that if CZV's Valkyrie ultimate is very strong. Vendetta having a little bit of a misnown, a Gemini issue, if you will, not understanding which personality he wants to take to the table from the Talon party, whether it's Doomfist or Widowmaker. He's going to be playing it all. Hello there, Lee Run City. How are you today? That is a quite lovely room there. Now, Huey's still staying on this Orisa, however, on point B could be a little bit more difficult for Doomfist, or I'm sorry, for Orisa to make a strong hold, as you can just work your way around the shield. The dive coming through strong once again, but Night God going down first. That's huge.
And Leron City is on Tracer here right now, so that actually might work in the favor of the attacking team in Future Group. They've got the couple of limbs here. There is the Transcendence out. Using that fist, though, right now is Vendetta trying to get a few more eliminations. Works his way towards the Tracer. Misses with the charge here. Uh-oh. Finds himself right into a Brigitte, but Venture doing what he needs to. Uses the Dragon Blade, gets one. Finds his Zenyatta coming out. His team's going to have a chance here. Has to try and get this Tracer out, though. They finally do eliminate Tracer. Now they're going to build up. They've already got 2 ticks.
Just a second. The third's going to be working towards here. A big punch coming through on Huey. He doesn't have any problem reaching it back to the point. They get all 3 ticks. Labasco, 31 seconds more. No, it is not the most time bank in the world, but that is a solid other push coming out there that they will have for the attacking team when they get to it. It will be Future Group on defense first, so I want to see the different swaps, any adaptations coming out here for Future Group. Are they as clairvoyant as their name seems to be? Probably not, as dive seems to be what they're strongest at.
What do you think of the switches, though, for 666 Legend when they were on the defensive spot? Do you think that maybe they made too many there?
I would definitely agree so. I mean, at the end of the day, they took the one swap, especially for Night God coming out here on the Brigitte is the strongest pick that you need, especially when you don't have a rivaling Transcendence to fight against a Dragon Blade. Your best bet is to actually take the Brigitte and to shield bash and stun lock to crowd control the Genji and just burst him down inside the Dragon Blade. However, with Future Group going forward, they will be working on to the same exact style that they did last time, boosting up the Orisa on the high ground. Venture headed back to the spawn room to come back out on Genji, and they're setting up with Bao up on the further side, much more as a pincer. I know that Bao is a very strong Zenyatta as well, has always landed a lot of good volleys at Ores of Destruction to go along with these strong tanks. It's just going to have to come down to 666 Legend. Lee Run City not on Doomfist this time around, a little different from their previous attack, coming out here on Widowmaker off the get-go with a core dive behind Night God's Genji. It could be devastating for Future Group, and especially for Vendetta to come up huge on these shots, but he has done it before.
Well, no Doomfist here for the side of 666 Legend. Offense started here. It worked so well last time. And now Night God kind of just waiting for his team to scout out, tell him where the rest of the team is, and now he's going to make his flank around here in just a second. He's found himself a Mercy in time with the rest of his team. Dashes in. ZZY just getting so close to falling here, and ZZV still manages to stay up somehow through it. Now finally falls, though, to the tank and Huey, as this looks like it's going to be 666 Legend eventually taking this, but the defense, though, is coming to life here, even though they got the Mercy out. And, oh, we need a pause here, it looks like. But it's looking like it's going pretty well for the defense here, as we do have to take this pause.
Yeah, I mean, Vendetta was coming to life, a big flank coming around here, a little bit of a much style of a Pine kind of play, if you will, and that was very nice to see, especially for the defending team. I mean, that Future Group, they need to continue to look into their own future, see what the compositions of their enemy is pulling out, because once they force TSL into these type of composition changes, playing around and playing against the game that Future Group is providing them, it really puts 666 Legend on their back foot, and it almost seems like they don't know what to do. Bao also got a really good pick there on to his protege Genji, and it was actually a very feels-good moment, especially because remember where the setup was. He was almost all by himself over there. It just came down to his friendly Diva to come over, get a little bit of peel, a little bit of a bump, but the headshot still came through.
The one thing I was going to ask you is, defensively, it was the same composition we saw from Future Group. Are you a little disappointed that 666 Legend didn't try what worked for them before? They had the Doomfist to take that point one, and it worked so expertly well, especially because defensively, I mean, like I said, Future Group, they were set up the same.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't fix not a single thing on the defense. They still took the May. They still boosted them up, the Arisoft onto the high ground, and you almost would expect the attacking team to take that well-oiled machine that don't fix what ain't broke mentality, 2-point-A attack again with the Doomfist and the hypo-aggressive dive all up on top. Sure, it is a little bit more of a setup, and it can take up to about 30 seconds or so, but and a seamless time that is Assault. And when you lose that first team fight and you give them so much ult charge to the defending team after losing that first team fight, you almost want to take that time. You almost want to take the longer setups and to work around on the flank so that way you could really find the dive and find the skirmishes that you want amidst the fun chaos that is a team fight and really come up huge. I mean, that's Assault at its finest, really, that if you're not working together on these core targets, you're not focusing down on the Discord, or you're really not going to make any headway.
So what's the conversation that you're having right now? If you're 666 Legend, you just had this push fail. What are you talking about right now with this unforeseen timeout that you end up getting?
I think we need to get up there and we need to get to the point as 6 altogether. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record for all of you at home at the moment, but that's really what Assault is all about. They need to find their composition and really run it. Now, one thing that we did see from 666 Legend, but we haven't seen here on Point A Attack, is this GOAT's composition. I mean, it works so well for them on Lijiang Tower, especially on Night Market Labasco, but we haven't really seen much of it ever since, besides when it got absolutely destroyed on King's Row defense on that final team fight. But it's something that can obviously work. I mean, it did come away from the from Assault right at the right when it got acknowledged. So I'm more interested to see why we haven't tried this from 666 Legend, as they just need to speed themselves on the point underneath the Orisa shield that you see right here and now as we're back in game, and really just force them to drop down on you. I mean, Orisa will drop the shield, and if you can take that time to get underneath her and make her feel displaced from her team, that's a lot of space that cannot be provided for Future Group, but you need to also stop Vendetta on these flanks. Really good counter snipes coming through.
Well, Umbra getting the opening pick onto ZZV is huge. Mercy already out. Now they get XD. They have the Diva out. Self-destruct is going to come out here. Waited as well. And now looking for some more eliminations as their team is already up to almost 2 ticks here. As Gaga kind of just up there on top, just trying to do what they can. And just kind of caught out was Bao G. So now they will be able to regroup here. And now just stalling for as long as possible is Vendetta. And now quickly falls.
That's actually huge. The stagger coming through. The less time spent under the point B, the better. But that's not the stagger that you want. ZZV just now going down. We were almost in overtime. That would have been so much worse, as it would have been a staggered spawn. But ZZV will be up here momentarily, and we'll be able to use the Guardian Angel ability to get back to the friendlies as well. Venture with a Dragon Blade, backed by an infrared sight from Vendetta, shows how much damage they were doing there on the opening team fight. A bunch of swaps coming through as well. XD giving away, but the Winston charge going back here on the Reinhardt, having a Valkyrie and a Transcendence to their name. Future Group can hold strong.
And Liran City went over to the Reaper here as well. Venture out, didn't get the kill onto Sober, but he did get a little bit of help to get it from his teammates. And Vendetta able to find Night God as well. Liran City only 30 HP. Almost gets taken out by the punch, but ends up being the uppercut that does it to him instead. And now you just have the Lucio here trying to stall for as long as possible. And it looks like they won't even get a tick on to this second point in point B. So for your Future Group, the win condition is set for them, Panda.
Yeah, 1 point and 1/3 is all you need. And the one thing that was definitely necessary on that point B defense for Future Group to give themselves said win condition was a fantastic Dragon Blade. No, it was not the flashiest. No, it did not get all the kills, but most ultimates in these days, in this current stage, won't. But it did zone everybody into that darker cubby of a room in the back part of the point B, where you see there as well. And where Vendetta just really ran amok. I mean, we saw him take that quick swap off of a first-person shooter game over to a fighting game, and just started going to town as far as punching everybody into walls and uppercutting them into the sky.
Well, the one thing, too, that I think you need to point out about Venture's Dragon Blade 2, Panda, is that you had it hit the Mercy down to 80 HP with one swipe. So anybody who can finish that off doesn't take a whole lot of damage once the hero's at 80 HP to take him out. And once you're out of a Mercy for the side of 666 Legend, that almost says goodbye to your push as it is anyway.
Absolutely right, Labasco, and I'm so happy that you brought up that fantastic point, because I mean, there are 2 key picks and 2 key members of your of the 6 members of your team that you need on a point A or point B take for Assault. That's going to be your main healer and your main tank as well. They are the best not only at the main heals, of course, if he makes his first heals on your team, but also the biggest shielding and the biggest spacing being provided by your main tank as well. 666 Legend coming out here with the defensive Widowmaker once more, Lee Run City, and Huey, they're sitting up here on the low ground, but it's going to be Night God that gets the spam grenades and the nice mine onto Vendetta. Tracer can't blink out of that.
Classic dive we have from the side of Future Group here. They're moving towards that room onto the left, and that's actually going to be a very difficult spot, especially when you have a Dragon Threat who can put all that spam damage into that little room. Still, Lee Run City, keeping pressure on XD. Oh, gets the headshot there. XD super low, going in on this dive and goes down because of it as well. His team's still committed, though, to diving in here. They do get the main tank out of the way. Now diving on to the Junkrat. Here's Venture, but he's going to fall. Good peel from Umbra to take him out. And now looking for the Lucio. Will just force him away at the very least here.
And this is do or die straights here as well. And I'm happy to see that it was Gaga that just ended up and dying to Huey, regardless of that little Pilot Diva going down. ZZV with a little minor stagger. It's going to be A-okay because they have about 2 more team fights that they can work through. It's only a matter of time until they see the Pulse Bomb coming through and Venture's Dragon Blade as well. It's only the peel that is necessary onto CZV to keep the Mercy alive, get the Valkyrie, and push your way onto this point A, and even the point B as well. But if you take a look at the side of 666 Legend, they're so close to the support ultimates, DPS ultimates, they're about to have all 6 Labasco.
Yeah, if they get that full 6 back, it's going to be really tough to deal with it on the side of 666 Legend. They're going to first use the infrared sight here is Lee Run City, as he's able to quickly get one out. So the defense still holding strong here. Future Group, though, they have some things to bank on, and I think Gaga had to use the self-destruct, though, to try and get back into mech. Or no, hasn't used it, actually, just is out of mech, and is going to try and have to get back in. Gaga will quickly make the switch and go back, so all that ultimate charge gone.
You saw on your screen there, Venture hanging out in the back. Look at the Mega Pack Dragon Blade available. So as long as Lee Run City is aware of turning around, it should be A-okay. Night God coming around here on the Riptire will find Lucio. 30 seconds left. They need to get back to the spawn, and they need to regroup and push the 6, but that is out the window, apparently, because you're going to pull out the Dragon Blade and eat a nuke to the face.
And then you have the shot into the air by Lee Run City to take out Vendetta with grapple to try and look for a pick, and now they're completely sprawled out and around. Future Group in a very tough spot here, and XD gets caught out with 10 seconds left.
Oh no, and that is just so huge. 6% to the Primal Rage as well. In Future Group, they're going to go ahead and just try to throw anything they possibly can to get on the point. They will pop the overtime by way of the Doomfist. Vendetta coming in clutch there.
Looks like ZZV, though, fell as well. Umbra getting on to some of the other players, and they just have to eliminate this Lucio, and they should seal themselves a win. XD, though, coming back in. Prime Rage to stall here, as they in was Venture again, but it's too little too late here. Self-destruct can be thrown onto the point to clear it off, as they are just using everything as that tire takes out the player coming back towards, as they will win this map. Will the side of 666 Legend.
You're a Doomfist. You come flying in with a rocket punch and you see a nuclear bomb in your face, and then you end up seeing a Riptire being channeled right in front of you as well. What do you do? I mean, there's absolutely nothing you're going to be able to do. But by the time that you lost your Winston so early into that team fight, you just needed to hang out for a little while longer, wait for the accrued ult charge to come through, get the Primal Rage, and they might have just maybe made a headway onto that point. But they will lose on Anubis, and it's going to be 666 Legend going up in the series.
Yep, they're up 2-1 right now. The one thing I wanted to ask you, Panda, before we throw it to a quick break here, did you like the comp that you saw from Future Group at the start there? They went with that sort of classic dive with Mercy Lucio, and it just didn't work.
It just didn't work really at all. I mean, it's hard to say what I remember and what I do to enjoy here, especially off of Anubis. But what I did miss from both the attacking teams was the Doomfist. I mean, we saw Vendetta really coming out there again just to proc overtime, but it wasn't enough. I don't understand why we didn't come out here with the Doomfist time and time again to displace the main tanks. Doomfist is so good at actually punching Orisa out of the way, and if she fortifies, that is a huge cooldown out of the way that you need for a good dive to come through of XDXD. Just minor team synergy issues coming out here for Future Group. Gonna have to see if they can force a map 5 in the next map.
Well, we're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we will have map number 4. We'll see if Future Group can do that and even this back up here on Broadcast.gg.
Got your hands on me. Every time I touch, there's a sense of urgency. Yeah, you wind me up. Oh, baby, I know I'm falling deep. I never get enough cause we fit so perfectly. I'm not afraid of love. Every night I need you more. Days go longer now without you than before. Just thinking about you gets me high. Cause you know how to leave this soul electrified. When you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down. You're never off my mind. I'm living in the dark till you come and give me light. You know you break the storms. Oh, I'm feeling undefined. I've never been strong, so I fall for the bad guys. I'm not going back anymore. Oh, every night I need you more. Days go longer now without you than before. Just thinking about you gets me high. Cause you know how to leave this soul electrified. When you take me down, when you take me, when you take me when you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down, when you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down. Every night I need you more. Days going longer now, they're longer than before. Thinking about you gets me high. Cause you know how to leave me so when you take me down, when you take me, when you take me down, when you take me, when you take me
And we're back here on Broadcast.gg for Contenders China Future Group versus 666 Legend. 666 Legend right now with a 2-1 lead in maps here. I'm Labasco. Alongside of me is Panda. So we're getting ready for map number 4. Panda, we've got one more map left to go. Is there a chance here for Future Group to turn this around here in map 4 and even it back up?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, walking into an escort map, not knowing specifically what it is, so we don't know two different playstyles, but I mean, we know that 666 Gaming and Future Group, respectively, they don't have any wins, so it's hard to say. I think that we're in a ballpark of a fantastic game here. For a fantastic series at that, Labasco. I mean, we're getting to see so much crazy Overwatch being played, macro play left and right, teams playing on their back foot. This is what I live for.
We get to see Doomfist as well. I think that's always something that people are happy to see. I know I am personally. He's a fun hero when he is in the game, just with the potential and the ability that he has to just take out targets with one punch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that one punch, in fact, is the one thing that 666 Legend was using very effectively. I'm playing that attack back in my head, just seeing the Orisa up there, setting up the giant flank, the Chipsa flank, if you will, waiting for him to come back around in that uppercut. But what was so devastating was the halt ability. So she just literally just stood there, halted into the ground, and just ate it to the jaw. But we just got word it's going to be Rialto as our next map, Labasco.
What are the expectations that we have here, Panda, when we go to Rialto? What is it that we need to be looking for?
Rialto itself is a very interesting map to me, personally. You know, here at BGG, we actually haven't seen much of Point C, unfortunately. It's still a new map for a lot of teams to be screaming out and to be figuring out. But one thing I can tell you for certain is that it is a fair playground. There's so many buildings to be playing around together. You can almost play it in your head like Point A Dorado. You can get above those buildings. You can play up and around the inner epsilons of the city, as well as when you take the ground game, so many interiors inside and out. You can play long corridors as a Widowmaker, or just burst down tanks inside the smaller, narrow passageways of the streets of Rialto. However, the more important thing is that, again, it is Ferris Playground. A lot of opportunities coming out here for either team of Venture or Night God, should they so choose.
The one thing we know here too, Panda, is that we know that we're going to get ourselves a lot of Ryan Zarya play, and both these teams coming out with Ryan Zarya.
Yeah, and that's it's going to be pretty difficult, especially for the attacking team if they find themselves a little bit slower, worse for wear. Coming out here on the Zenyatta composition might just leave them a little bit more open to a dunk inside the lakes of Italy. But Night God already coming in the backside, using that rocket as a boost. No mercy to get that healing up. So there's a rocket shy away from death. Will end up picking up Sober, but it gets the tanks across the bridge and eats a rocket to the face.
Venture just decimated this side of 666 Legend, who has the chance here to set the pace, but it's a tough start for them. Lee Run City is at 2 HP too, just trying to stay alive defensively, though. They're in a great spot right now as they have held on here, getting everybody down that they needed to at least have a good start.
Yeah, I saw XCXC make it across the bridge, but then the giant concussion blast coming out here just to knock them right back over. I'm sorry, for the side of Huey making it back over, but Venture coming back alive again. That's the second boop coming out of Venture across the bridge, and that's what I'm talking about. Just so strong in a barrage coming out early already. Won't find anything but particle dust, but still flexing on them is Venture.
Well, it did find two, actually, before there was nobody left, and I think Venture just didn't care to try and shoot it anywhere else.
Yeah. Again, that particle dust definitely came by way of whatever was left over at the end of it. But again, those concussion mines are those concussion mines are still so good as they finally make it across the bridge. Venture doesn't care. He's still just decimating them behind.
Completely getting very close to being taken out of the air here and done by Night God, but his team is doing the work on the ground here, so even rest of the team does what's needed, and guess what? They have a res.
Have a resurrection, so they're going to be okay to hang out back as Six Vendetta getting a headshot on the way out for the enemy Widowmaker. And Future Group holding strong. They have shaved 2 minutes off this entire push thus far, cycling through the Earth Shatter, a Valkyrie, and a Barrage thus far. Popping the infrared sight is going to give the open opportunity here for Gaga to walk in, get a big Graviton Surge. Bosco, they're looking so strong here, Future Group is. They're going to just cycling their ultimates so cleanly like this. You might as well just continuously take dunks in the ocean if you're 666 Legend and just stay that clean.
This is one of the furthest forward holds that we've seen stay at this point, too, for any time that we've seen Rialto up until this point. So impressive that they've been able to keep the card at this point. But now this is maybe the chance here. Huiwei with the Earth Shattered, maybe with a chance, looking for the opportunity to use it here. Gets bubbled, throws out the Fire Strike. See when that decides to come out and use it. forcing their way forward. Venture, Yusuf Raj didn't get anything though, as XD now will have to charge forward, and Graviton Surge going into the combo there with the Dragon Strike, as that eliminates most of the team for Future Group, and now they're just getting chased down, and they will be able to push this towards that first point.
And forces them to play so split and so unwanted. That positioning was just so unwanted, especially for Bao G, who had the Transcendence, the one thing that who could have tried to help save some of the damage coming out from the Dragon Strike and Night God, but it was to no avail. Re-entry trying to come through here for Future Group's Reinhardt, just drops so low, gets stopped by eating another charge. How did you get over there, ZZV?
That's what I was wondering as well. Not that it matters though. Graviton Surge used on top here. It's not going to cause really any stall of any kind from Gaga.
Gaga has been playing out of his mind all up into that final point as well. It was only two when Night God got that entry Storm Arrow kill on to Venture amidst that Pharah barrage. Swapped over to Genji, 75% now to the Dragon Blade upon the re-entry, but Night God's already going to be having another Dragon Strike. Desynced a little bit from Umbra's Graviton Surge, but it's going to be a-okay because, again, these narrow passageways of Rialto, there's only so many ways that you could be coming from, and when you have the Sonic Arrow up and it is in a decent spot and you see more than three, you might as well shove it down lane.
Coming around towards that corner here after that first take of the point. Venture going high into the air. Oh, my God. Anyway, doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter, not whatsoever. Again, the core strong composition, 666 just pushing that and holding down the W key, but the Dragon Blade's coming out. Venture will find his brother, Hanzo Night God, going down, and Vendetta, the 1v1 to the Widowmaker, being able to make a stapling push here. But Future Group, no footing in the sand thus far, as 666 Legend, their tanks, Zarya, Ryan, Huey, and Umbra just continuously pushing forward, and the Graviton Surge comes down again, Labasco.
Dragon Strike coming out again here, eliminates two with the help of a few, as they're going to get this second point capped as well, and now just have Venture, who's trying to stall out, but it doesn't matter. They can work their way onto this final point.
And we will end up seeing point C. Big Caster's Curse coming through on my end after saying that we hardly ever see it, but now we will. And it's such a beautiful, angelic building that we are hanging out and getting sniped off of as well. Vendetta, good punish from Night God's over-aggressive positioning there. That infrared sight definitely helped them out.
Vendetta looking for the headshot here. It's at least stalling out the other team. And Lerun City able to get the better. His infrared sight was up as well. That allows for his team to press the W key and keep moving forward as they're coming around to that final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where the entire team of 666 Legend plays so well. They have so much burst potential in between the double snipers, and they just need to cycle through their ultimates respectively. The supports, on the other hand, haven't felt the need to do it just until now.
Graviton Surge doesn't really get anything there for the side of Future Group. Almost to their Graviton Surge is Umbra, who's about up to 80%. They might not even need it here as they're about to get this final tick. Nobody able to get back on. 666 Legend finishes this with time.
Yeah, just complete and utter space and just held into the proverbial drawing board and spawn room doors. One of the biggest things that Sober literally didn't even need to use any Valkyrie healing whatsoever outside of that, just popping it for funsies to fly around on this point C building that I'm sure most teams are still getting used to seeing here, Labasco. 2 minutes in the time bank on Rialto, a map where a lot of teams find a hard time holding still on and getting past point A. It looked so good once they finally made through the devastating concussion mines and Pharah rockets that came through from Venture, but it seemed to be once Venture ended up getting, I guess, outdogged in the air and the anti-air came through from Lerun City, was the only moment in time that the entire team from 666 was able to make it all the way to point C. We'll be coming out here with the same mirror composition that we've come to know and love. Future Group, they're hanging around with this core dive composition of Widow or Winston and Diva. Could you imagine if Widow was a dive tank? Oh my goodness, I'd be scared. But the Winston and the Diva, a little bit more of a, I guess, a comfort pick coming out here for Future Group. They don't want to get stuck inside the same mix-up that was the concussion mine into the lakes of Rialto. Night God will be trying to play that role on 666 Legend and trying to concussion mine anybody that he sees come across that bridge, as he's just doing a nice little bit of a vandalism and dance all at the same time.
Yep, spraying that Shanghai Dragon spray all around.
100%.
The one thing I wanted to ask you too about Future Group, I mean, what went wrong for them on that first hold? Because it seemed like their comp was perfect for what they were seeing and that they could handle whatever 666 Legend was going to throw at them.
It was only until that Venture ended up taking a flank too late into the team fight as well that he was displaced from ZZV. No healing going across for the main tank of XDXD, who was on Reinhardt at the time and could help out Venture on the barrage as well. Pulled a barrage out and ended up killing himself against the Diva mech from Umbra. The 666 Legend, they're coming out here on the defending side, same style, same core with the Ryan and Zarya. It's worked so well thus far. In Future Group, they're going to have a harder time diving into these targets as they're going to be met by big burst damage and Discord orbs.
Well, the one thing we know for Venture is that he has a very good Pharah, can hit rockets into the air. Looks like he landed a little bit there, but the bubble out to help for Night God. That might have saved Night God there from getting very close to being taken out of the sky. Liron City looking for Future Group now, manages to get one shot onto Venture as Future Group having the advantage now, getting that Widow pressure gone and out, having to try and dive onto the rest of these players. It looks like they're going to be able to quickly get through this first point if they can just get rid of this and the Reinhardt who's stalling out near the carts.
All right, Venture, I see you. You know, it's normally a Widowmaker that's the counter pick onto the Pharah, but this time it's Venture that lands a direct rocket on to Liron City, and that might as well be a convincing victory and point A capture here for Future Group as well. Vendetta ended up getting the follow-up kill onto Sober as well, so the healing and the ultimate charge for the Valkyrie already displaced. Again, Venture finds Liron City.
Ends up getting taken down by Night God, though. Maybe got a little bit too aggressive for himself there. Sure, he does have a short spawn is the one thing that he has for the advantage, but getting back on and being able to keep this at least short of that first point right now is 666 Legend, but they're not getting the eliminations that they need. Umbra quickly going down here, and how they'll finally get it the res, how they can get back here. So they do end up taking it there, and they've got a big time bank to go through this second point. And this second phase, Panda, we usually see teams have a tough time holding.
That was quite the burst of light there. Nobody's light flashing before their eyes. I got a little scared there, I'm not gonna lie. But 666 Legend, you are absolutely right. They have to be kindly afraid of, if they hold this inadvertently, they will end up getting very disrupted and they will get snowballed over just like they did to Future Group. So this is exactly to your point, Labosco, where some teams do find themselves getting full health because it's the same as point A, just a little bit longer of a walk across that long bridge. Not as many boot opportunities, but you got to work around the Graviton Surges coming through from Umbra. Oh, the Dragon Strike didn't even come through because he got hit by the barrage from Venture.
Venture coming up big for his team here. Vendetta as well been on fire. It feels like for their offensive time here, still on fire as well, dealing out the damage and moving that cart forward, and just finds another one there just for good measure. Wasn't a headshot, but still dealing that little bit of extra damage, stealing that kill away from someone else.
Vendetta and Liron City, they've been doing a great job at giving every enemy on the end of a team fight a Widow's kiss goodbye, and that's one of the more beautiful parts about taking a Widowmaker on either side of Rialto, is it just gives you that elongating team fight to do just that. Be a little careful there, Zenyatta. You don't want to be facing a diva just like that. But Liron City going back to back with the frags might end up opening the defending point, but they can't get there in time. Oh, they do, in fact.
They do get back defensively. Venture right now, though, still has his Mercy with him to try and deal damage out. Gaga's helping him out as well. Now looks like maybe they're going to have to back up. No, he's going actually aggressively back in because of the self-destruct. It did force back pretty far 666 Legend, but now they can get back after the bomb is gone and now re-engage back onto the cart.
Future Group, they will be losing abysmal amount of time here, but it's okay because they're still stacking these ultimates. Not gonna have the self-destruct to play around anymore, but they're gonna go ahead and pop around this Ifrit site Labosco, and it's gonna give Venture the open season opportunity to splash down as many rockets as possible. We'll find Sober in the mech as well.
Did get taken out of the sky though afterwards, and Night God with Blade finds himself 2 targets, now finds himself Bao Bao G. He ended up using the frag, then went away. He had a chance to take out the Zed.
Has the chance to take out the Zenyatta, to take the 1v1 to his master. All Genjis want to do, indeed. I can tell you that for a fact, as Genjis seem to be just ironed on to Zenyatta's face. But Liron City has been coming to life here on this point B defense, Labosco. Got another kill on the Venture as well, and this is exactly to your point, where most teams find themselves getting hard stuck because you can see the defending team now not holding to where the payload is anymore, but pushing up to that secondary, to this inferred study, if you will, and they are able to push the shield that much further and open up the floor that much more for their DPS. Night God on this Genji now, just running amok in the backline.
So many places that you can go as either team, as the Earth Shatter comes in here, does get a couple down, but nobody gets eliminated. Venture finally taken out by Umbra as well. Doesn't manage to get it right away, but now with the self-destruct gets a little bit of help, but Venture back in there, able to get the elims needed here for maybe a chance, but Lee Run City keeps getting these headshots onto people. Vendetta gone out of the fight, as now it's just a Primal Raging Winston trying to, but he's going to get charged away.
It's a very interesting Valkyrie coming out here for 666 Legend. I mean, the team fight was already definitively won on their end, and so on the side for Future Group, if they take the nice respawn and availability, they might be able to find a good stagnant dive. They just need to be wary of this Earth Shatter that's coming through from 666 Legend. This team, in fact, though, Labasco, they're cycling their ultimates so well that Future Group has hardly even seen any time for the payload. It's actually been moving so far back, as it was just about 3 meters shy of capturing point B.
A long way for them to go, and only 26 seconds left to go. Earth Shatter is all the defense has, and now in Dragon Blade, 2 ultimates there. Venture with a barrage too that can be used. Doesn't get really anything with it as the blade comes out. Did get at least a mech, but that might not be enough because of Night God doing what he needs to with the blade. And then the Earth Shatter for good measure onto the Diva here. The self-destruct gets pushed away. Does manage to take out the right arm, but it's not going to matter. It's going to be win 666 Legend as they win 3-1, Panda.
You're gonna end up taking the series 3-1 Labasco, but if you're on the side of Future Group, you gotta be feeling pretty darn good about that. They did end up getting their first win of Season 2 Chinese Contenders, and they were able to hold so strong and really take it to the side of 666 Legend. That was a hell of a match that we just witnessed.
Yeah, definitely it was. And now we get a chance to hear from our awesome panel of guests that we have who always break down everything so well. We've got, of course, Scribe, Kenobi, and the great host that we have today, Kick Tripod, to go ahead and break it all down. So, guys, take it away. Thanks for this one.
Thanks so much, guys. Great job. Oracle Kenobi. General Kenobi. Oracle Kenobi. General
I'm a bold
Oracle
one.
Kenobi, you've done this a few times on the cast now, where you just tend to really kind of nail these predictions. So I'm gonna pass it to you first. Let you do your victory dance while Scribe wallows in tears and sadness. Because this is easy. It's all easy. Just guessing who's gonna win.
Yeah, it's
Man.
really easy.
Yeah.
I mean, if Brent can do it, I can do it.
If Brent can do it, I can do it. That should be the name of like an Overwatch podcast. Just called If Brent Can Do It, I Can Do It. Let's talk about this second half. Kenobi, I'll let you take this one first. Who stepped up in the second half of TSL to make this second half go, pretty much all in favor of TSL?
I think we talked about it, at halftime a little bit with Scribe in our analysis, and we said that the tank line for TSL was just pretty much outclassing that of a Future Group there. I mean, Umbra and I think it was Umbra and I believe Hui, yeah, Umbra and Hui. At times were basically just lapping, lapping the enemy, the tanks from Future Group, their ultimates. Just like basically there was gravitons that were coming out twice in one charge for the other person. So I think the tank line was really playing aggressive and playing, we're able to flex a little because we saw from Future Group whenever they were playing this Ryan Zarya, they didn't seem as comfortable on it. And when it was for, TSL, they seemed completely comfortable to play whatever tank line they need. If you need dive, we'll play dive. If you need to play Orisa Diva, we can play that as well. So the flexibility that they had, because we mentioned at the start, a lot of these teams try to, seem to always fall back onto playing this, dive tank. And, when dive tank against that Ryan Zarya, it's not a great time. Not much is going to be done there. So it's something that, Future Group probably needs to look at more and fixing in their composition, is that, not always resorting back to dive because it's very one-dimensional.
Scribe, what about on the side, in your opinion, on the side of Future Group, where did they, fall short or let go in this second half that really just kind of I don't want to say gave it to TSL, because that's not true. That nobody was given anything. but it definitely, I feel like we didn't see Future Group playing at the level that they were in the first half.
Yeah, no, of course, and this is just comes down to the pressure, right? Like I think the changes to the tank diversity from the side of 666 really did make that impact. Like running Orisa, for example, on top of Anubis severely negates what Vendetta can do on Widowmaker, and that was kind of very like obvious to see. Like with his choices of picks, he was running Tracer more often, was running more Doomfist, and both of these characters, while they are pretty good, they're not characters who really know Vendetta to be exceptionally outstanding on, but. And most importantly, Liron City coming alive in the second half was just kind of like the big story of it all. Great picks, great headshots, and like it's just kind of paints a story of like two aggressive Widow styles. But the main part is Liron City. He's not peaking the same angles he needs to. He's playing a lot smarter. He's looking to get into a lot of these big flank positions if he can. Whereas Vendetta just playing too aggressive sometimes. Sometimes peaking the same angle, which makes it really easy for him to get picked off. He's not playing with his team all the time necessarily. He's willing to greet it out. And I think the most telling moment is when he's on Temple of Anubis. His team's almost wiped entirely on point. He's sitting perched on some high ground trying to get picked. Like that's kind of almost the exact situation you don't want to see your Widowmaker get zoned in on. But that's kind of the big thing here. Tank stories were so big. Umbra Zarya was so strong in addition to having an incredible diva, great shield control and awareness.
Awesome. I love it. Let's talk MVPs before we get out of here. Scribe, who's your MVP for this match?
It's a toss-up between two. I want to say either Umbra or Liron City. I mean, Umbra, obviously, with the great tank play, I want to accent that most because obviously kill feed is important, but watching the underlying, like what allows Liron City to get that room, right? What allows them to play this aggressively? The tank lines were exactly that. They were playing so in your face. They were taking advantage of the fact that they were having a backpedaling enemy. All their ultimates were used to gain momentum, gain kill control, and gain man advantages, and that's exactly what you want to see in the tank.
Kenobi, walking away from this one, who's your MVP pick? Yeah, before you say it, unmute.
Why am I muted now? I got the mute bug during the middle of the broadcast. What is wrong with me? For me, it's going to be Liron City because Liron City, kind of set the tone. I talked about it earlier. The last weekend he had a pretty not great game, I'll say, against Flag Gaming, and this time he really came out, set the tone on the Widowmaker, set the tone, didn't have to play the Pharah as much, and just the way Scribe was mentioning it, the way he was playing around the other enemy Widow, understanding that this enemy Widow is basically hard scoping me, so I can just flank around, get some picks that I need because the Widow is not keeping track of me. So I really like the way he had been playing around the other enemy Widowmakers. So Liron City for me gets my MVP.
Well, there you have it. Future Group falls. And they are out now, correct, gentlemen? They are completely eliminated from the prospect of moving on in Contenders over to playoffs. Hope technically still alive for TSL, but I don't think it's looking good for them, if I remember correctly.
Flag has to really just not play very well for TSL to climb back up in there.
All right, well, big implications here. So there you have it. That's our first match of the day. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Next up, we've got Lucky Future going up against Moss 7 Club. That's going to be coming up in just a moment. Before we do sign off, though, I do want to tell you a little bit about Broadcast.gg. Broadcast.gg is a community of broadcasters, producers, casters, analysts, hosts, graphic designers, video editors. If you want to get involved with this type of stuff, down below, we've got a Discord link. Get involved in the community and get awesome opportunities like this. You're like, I've always wanted to be a caster and analyst. Well, this is how you start. They've formalized the formula for you, made it easy for you. If you're just a spectator today, make sure to follow up there. Follow us so whenever we go live with some awesome competitive Overwatch action, when we're going live. And also follow us on Twitter at Broadcast.gg. You got to spell that out, DOTGG. Follow us there as well. Scribe Kenobi, thank you so much for being with me on the desk. It was a blast. Kenobi, as always. Scribe, this is a new one, and I loved it. I hope we get more.
We are. Next map.
Skrinobi. Is that
We're
back
next map.
Skrinobi?
We're back next match, guys.
We're back next map.
You guys
so
are
soon.
you guys
Yeah.
are back with me?
Yeah, we're back.
next round.
We're going round 2,
Let's
baby.
go.
I get to be right again.
All right. Well, we're gonna go back then and be